was asking, are you sure?
What are you asking? Go live, Umang.
Start.
Start live session. 7:31. Let me. And simultaneously, please record as well. Who will record? I cannot go live. It says
Umang,
no.
please start. Please start.
Umang.
We are live.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Young Chief Operations Socratic Dialogue, where young minds initiate to discuss the concepts that are a function of a CXO, that are usually a part of the job of CXO. So here we have few young minds who today are going to discuss around the concept of project management. So today's theme is project management. One of the crucial function of any organization, of any company, is to create those projects, create the micro task of those projects, distribute those tasks amongst the employees, amongst the team members. And this might sound as a easy job, just to create one project and to distribute it. But a tougher job arises now. How you will align the team members, how you will align everything so that it concludes to end up completion of the project. Usually, all these things are taken care by the senior organization of the company, the CXOs of the company. The usual approach in most of the companies, corporates, is top-down approach. The top-down approach, in simple words, means that the heavy lifting is done always by the leaders or the CXOs, and some mechanical work, is done by the employees of the company. But what if we can change this approach? What if every team and every team member can be empowered to use these concepts of project management to work and to improve their efficiency? So today, you will see a small glimpse of how we can go bottom up. With this, I request our two teams to introduce themselves. First of all, I will request the team Gold Red if they want to introduce themselves.
Yes. Thank you so much, Umang. Hello, everyone. I'm Shomita from Team Gold Rat, and I have been a part of Deep Thought for 3.5 months. And I have initially joined Deep Thought as an financial strategist fellow. Right now, I'm a part of Value Lab. Now, the reason behind our naming our team as Team Gold Rat is, so in today's theme of project management, we use in DT a feature called TOC, in which we try to connect to our day-to-day projects and get our micro and macro view of our tasks. And this TOC has inspired from...
Introduce yourself. We'll move on to the pitch afterwards.
Yes. I was just telling why our team's name is Gold Rat.
All right.
Yes. So the TOC has inspired from team Mr. Eliyahu Goldrat, and that is why we have named our team as Team Goldrat. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Samita.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Tsar, and I'm from Team Gold as well. Currently, I'm a member of Blue Ocean Lab, and I work there as a growth hacker. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I am Sandhya, growth hacker in Deep Thought. Right now, I'm part of Team Goldratt.
Thank you, Team Golzak, for introducing yourself and telling us why you have named your team Team Golzak. Now, I would like to request the Team Vision team to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Aman, for the opportunity. I am Paresh Muzumdar, and I am working as a growth hacker in Deep Thought. And we named our team as Vision because from this dialogue and from this operations dialogue, we want our audience also and to us also to state that vision in our operations style and how we deal with our projects. So we want to inculcate those vision in our Deep Thought also. Thank you.
Good evening, guys. I am Ronak, working as a software developer in TT. And my team's name is Team Vision. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amrit Malviya, and I am working in DT as a software developer. And my team name is Team Vision. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Team Vision, to introducing yourself. And this time, apart from having a team name based on the thought leader, you guys have a different kind of a team name. Interesting to looking forward. Okay, for the pitch. Now, I would like to request our co-moderators to introduce themselves, if anyone of them wants to go.
Hello, everyone. I am Mervin, and currently I am the young team lead of the product researchers team from Deep Thought.
Good evening, everyone. I am Palash, and I'm the micro lead of Rigor Lab at Deep Thought.
Thank you, co-mods, for introducing yourself. And today, let me introduce myself now before moving ahead. I am Umang. Today, I will be the moderator of the day. Apologies initially if I bore you throughout the session. By the way, I'm a product researcher and an education disruptor, and I've been working at Deep Thought for past 1 year now. So again, I would like to tell the theme and the format of today's discussion. I would like to tell that it will be a Socratic dialogue, and we have two teams participating with us, Team Goldratt and Team Vision. So initially, one team will be in the answer box, and one team will be in the question box. It means that one team will be the questioning team and one team will be the answering team. First of all, the answering team will pitch their presentation of how they are going to implement the principles of project management in their day-to-day work, how they are integrating to empower their own team members. And then the questioning team will question them and build upon solutions so that we can create a better process for ourselves. Similarly, in the round two, the questioning team will becomes the answering team, and the answering team becomes the questioning team. The entire process remains the same. So I hope the new joinees got the context and the format of how is going to be today's discussion. Now, without wasting any further time, let's start the round one. So which team would like to go ahead with their pitch first? Yeah, any initiatives coming up?
Okay, Team Vision can go ahead with the answers first.
Team Vision or Tushar, you are from Team Gold, right? Just to clarify, Team Vision or Team Gold that will go ahead with the answer box?
Yeah, Goldratt was giving pitch right in the first, right?
Okay, yeah, we can go ahead with our pitch first then. Yeah, sure. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Here's here's how the pitch goes. So as a member of the Blue Ocean Lab, our current responsibility is to create a new market for deep thought where we acquire customers to whom we can provide our services. We are in this experimentation phase where we are trying out different methods and trying to understand the persona of the customer. The long-term project in this case would be to have a structured documentation of all the experiments, which can later be used for automation of several processes. And this is how we would integrate the 4 SM methods. First, story for alignment. We would first start by defining objectives for our prospective client communication, value proposition, business context, etc. as a macro story, and make sure that everyone in the team understands it. We would define the characters who would be involved, which in this case is us and the companies, and then we'll lay down the macro story on how we'll approach the end goals and what steps we would follow. Secondly, for scope of agility, we would define what kind of results we expect from the experiments, what are the experiments that we are going to conduct, and what are all the data that we will need. And based on all this, we'll design a very simple SOP that we can follow. And as we go ahead and conduct more experiments, we'll keep documenting them. Thirdly, for specific accountability, once we have got the simple SOP defined, we work on feedback, conduct more and more experiments, collect more and more realistic data, and implement all of them in our SOP so that we get a better structurized, proper SOP that we can follow and start our automation steps. Finally, for staggered approach, we check the credibility of our SOP. We manually test each process that we came up with, we step by step, and then move ahead. While all the manual steps work, we keep automating them as we scale up. Hence, we follow this 4 SM methods to achieve the short-term and long-term goals. Thank you.
Thanks, Tushar from Team Goldat for presenting your pitch. And by the way, just to give a context to the audience, Tushar and his team is currently working as a Blue Ocean Lab of Deep Thought. There can be 2 things. One is you can either be a part of the market and you can disrupt the market, and other is that you can create your own market. So they are creating a new market for Deep Thought, and they are interacting with the future customers, future clients. And Tushar just explained how he will integrate the 4 SA project management process in his team. So over to you, Team Vision, for questions. And by the way, hello, Mr. Patil. Mr. Patil, thanks for joining. Yeah, we have. Yes, please go ahead with the question.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Paras, you can.
Okay. So I was just asking, like, by the pitch, I think you were speculating things on the basis of you would collect data, or you would prepare macro story, or you would prepare a micro story. Are you having like some practical approach to it? Like, what would you do with the Blue Ocean, and how would you align people on practical basis?
Yeah, anyone in the team Golden can answer the question?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So, so for starters, what we can do is we have a end goal, right? So for the end goal, we are setting down the characters, as in one character could be us, one character could be our perspective companies that we are interacting with, another character could be the students we are bringing them. So in this way, we are trying to include that what each person will be getting out of our process, right? So for companies, it could be they are able to get such youngsters who will be a leader material, and who will be more like into hands-on learning and having innovative mindset. And for students, they are getting hands-on approach in the practical world projects, right? So in this
I would
way,
request, Samita, sorry to cut you. I would request that the answers, please, be shorter than 30 seconds, and the question be shorter than 10 seconds. So does that answer your question, Paras, or?
I just follow back with the question. Like, you were explaining how you pitch to the company, but how will you align your employees or the interns you are working with?
for them to, we can set the we can set the micro story, right? We can show that what reasons we are doing it, what objectives we are fulfilling it. And by this way, I think we will be able to align our teams.
Okay, so reasons and objective you will include in micro story.
Yes, macro story.
Macro or micro?
Macro story.
Okay. And what about micro?
And in the micro story, we could define how we will be approaching it, like the step-by-step approach.
But in micro story, you have to explain it with examples, no?
No,
To the
in the
user.
micro story, we would introduce our characters. For example, the characters are us, the companies, right? So we'll introduce them. We will create the value proposition of each of those characters. What are the companies getting out of this project? What are we getting? So once those things are clarified, the micro picture gets clarified. Once the business context, the vision gets clarified, the macro picture gets clarified. And in this way, we will try to align them. Yeah.
And if they
So
don't
can-
align with this?
Okay, so like our micro picture would be designed in such a way that they get aligned. Now, if they don't get aligned, we would include such processes that would ensure. For example, let's say when we are explaining to them the macro picture, we'd ask them questions. We'd ask them to ask us questions. Now, by defining some extra variables like the number of questions that a person asked, whether they said reflections or not, whether they thought about it or not. So based on those aspects, we would see if they understood or not.
What if there is a blind spot in asking question to the particular your person?
What do you mean by blind spot?
Blind spot means let's say you ask a lot of question, but you didn't ask the major question, or you didn't know you don't know if he understand the particular thing or not. How you will ensure that thing?
Okay, whether or not they understood, it would be clarified by our questionings. So once we've explained to them, we'll question them the macro picture. We can use some scenarios, we can give some examples, and we can ask them to use the understanding in those scenarios and see if they understood or not. Now, even if they don't understand, we would ask them to tell us what they didn't understand. We would ask them to explain to us whatever we taught to them, so that there's this cross like teaching to each other, and the process is done in that way.
Again.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well,
I request to
how
keep
will
the
you
answers short. And does it answer your question, Amrit, by the way?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
okay.
so
And
how
you,
will you ensure? Let me
Yeah, Ronak, go
finish
ahead.
my question. Yeah, so how will you ensure that value is how will you ensure that the value is getting created in this blue ocean, like a new market? Like if your business is really working or not? How will you make sure?
We can set some milestones, right? So if the milestones are getting achieved, we would know that the value is being created.
Can I go?
Yes.
Okay. So means earlier you were explaining this is the experimental thing. So in experimental, we don't want to spend more cost and all or time. So how you will ensure that you will spend less cost and more effective thing? How you will produce your MVP in a low cost?
For example, in our Blue Ocean Lab, we don't know like where to start. So to get the data, what we did is like we divided like into number of companies, and we checked it what is the best way to find that. So it's like we are checking also which is the best based on our milestones. It's not like we are deviating with that.
No, I'm asking how you will ensure in experimental phase, you have to create an MVP in a low cost. How you will ensure that thing?
Okay, so if I can go ahead with that, since we are conducting experiments, we are not putting enough resources in it. So we are just testing out the data that are easily available in the internet. So once we get those data, we reach out to those companies, we document all the experiments that we did. This gives us an idea of the persona of the customers to whom we are reaching out, and hence like low effort, low resources, the ROI and everything, we are getting better proper results that we expect.
So in an experimental thing, means let's say you are creating something new, and how you will find the particular data means there's nothing new project on the internet. You are creating something new. So how you will get the data out of it?
Okay. So we are at first when we are coming up with a SOP, we can try your method at least on one subject, right? And in the meantime, after getting result from another subject, we can, improve and progress.
Wait, Shamita. You are asking like, you are saying when we created the MVP and then we want to, want to go global. I'm saying you don't have MVP and you are creating the MVP, but in a low cost, how you will ensure that thing? Because experimental is new, and we don't want to spend, much cost in it.
Okay, so in that case, what we will do is, again, since it's an experimentation phase, we don't have any MVP. We all will brainstorm, we'll set our assumptions, our expectations, and then we'll come up with some ideas, some processes on how we are going to execute, meet those assumptions. And based on the result that we get, we'll keep improving and designing our simple SOP that we talked about. So initially, it will have to start with the brainstorming for things that we are trying to achieve. Once those things are cleared, we'll keep on designing our SOPs. The MVP.
Okay, let's say assumption. You are talking about assumption. You are working on the assumption, right? So in assumption things, if we talk about assumption, then it can go longer. Then how you will define the in particular time? Okay, in 15 days we have to create the assumption or thing.
Sorry, can you go ahead with your? Okay, yeah, sorry, Somita, you can go ahead.
Yeah, in this case, we can set achievable variables, right? And in this way, I think we can keep our small milestones, and in this way, we can try to achieve it.
Okay. So
Okay,
means
Amrit, may I?
yeah.
Yeah. So, some question. Only the question I will ask, like, you want to explain the Blue Ocean Lab to your employees and to your interns who are working with you. So, are these 4 steps which you talked about, are they relevant to are they relevant in expressing those concerns which you want, or these 4 steps are relevant to the project individually?
Sorry, what do you mean by project individually and the concerns?
Like if a company comes with a project, so that so these 4 steps are for that. Like if you're coming up with a new project, so how will you ensure your project gets in operation? But you are coming with a new team of Blue Ocean Lab with a thought. So how these 4 steps are aligning with these 4 steps you were talking about?
Okay, so what you're saying is we have got a new team of Blue Ocean Lab and how we are using these 4 steps to align the team, right?
Yeah, like aligning because aligning the project with the 4 steps is easy, I think, but with aligning with your whole team or this thought of Blue Ocean, how will you ensure this?
Okay, so the very first important, like from the 4 steps, the very first point is about alignment, right? So okay, so all the 4 matters are about project. Now you're asking about the people itself. So we would ensure that in our first step. So for example, that we would first we will first explain the micro picture, how we are trying to achieve that objective, what will be the business context and stuff. Once those things are understood, people are able to relate to that project, they will be aligned. Now we can go ahead with explaining other steps, and once the other steps are explained, they will be understanding the context of the project as well.
Does this answer your question, Paras?
Yeah, like I was asking how these like your Blue Ocean Lab will work on experiments, works on assumptions. So these 4 steps talks of wireframes, MVP, rolling out your project in market and then testing. So these experimentation and assumptions things, how will you ensure like these 4 steps cover this?
Okay, so this experimentation assumption phase, this will come into our second step when we are designing that MVP. So before we design, like in our case, what the MVP is our simple SOP. So we are not trying to sell that MVP to others. We are just going to use that MVP for ourselves to create a product, right? So we have all the experimentation, all the assumptions. All this will help us in designing that simple SOP, which we can call as the MVP, right? Not in terms of the product, but for our own team's purpose, which we can define later, use for automation.
What about the staggered approach?
Okay. Yes. So, okay, staggered approach is, we'll implement it when we have got our proper SOP defined. We have used our realistic data. We have worked on our experiments. Now what we'll do is we'll manually test each of our step. Now, we have this concept of instead of trying to 1,000 people, we can try out to 1 people. So in our SOP, we will also include this idea of conversational intelligence, oxytocin and cortisol producing. So now, as you might know, people have different psychology, right? So instead of trying to a lot of people, different psychological aspects, we will try to a single person. For example, let's say that you are a person with short temper. So, we'll see if our SOP works with such a person. If it works, then, we'll try to scale up and, try to reach out to different people.
How will you ensure that single person is representing your sample or population correctly?
Yes, so we will conduct a lot of experiments. We will define our variables and we'll see if those variables are being met or not. If the variables are met, if the expectations are met, or if progress is being met.
What is a lot of experiments?
Experiments in the sense, as I said, right? For example, Paras is a short-tempered person. I will conduct it. I will check if my SOP is working with him or not. Ronak is, let's say, a happy person. I will see if it works or not with him. So, like, there are a lot of experiments that we will conduct.
Okay,
to just add up, when we are trying to make a SOP, we will try to create a generic SOP that will both work with a person like angry person or like a happy person. So this is where I think we can modify.
Okay, I think we guys are moving more into the product part of how the Blue Ocean Lab will be functioning and creating a product. So we just have we can just take 2 more questions. So if someone have question regarding the theme of the event, like project management, so we will take 2 more questions and we'll close this round.
Okay, can I ask a last question?
Sure.
Okay, so means I had a very good question. Like for example, in assumption and brainstorming. Okay, you said that we will create a milestone. Okay, fine. Then first of all, if you are a CEO of company and your team is taking so much time on the brainstorming and the discussion thing, how you will control your team to, okay, this is the your discussion is done, and the main thing is, like, when it comes to discussion, there is nothing kind of milestone. Means what kind of milestone you will set?
I think the milestones will be discussed on the main story, like when we're discussing the macro story, that makes sure that what is your main goal to reach. Like for example, if it is 10 people to be come into the funnel, that will be the macro. But in the micro story, you will divide like, okay, in this time I will complete this first milestone. If it is not reaching, that means we are not able to go in right way, and we will follow the another path. It's like setting the goal will be in the macro story of brainstorming.
And adding to that, you said about what if the people are taking a lot of time in brainstorming? In that case, we'll question them: did you really understand the macro story and micro story? If they really understood, if they went deep down into understanding of those scenarios.
I think no.
Yeah. Sorry.
Does this answer your question, Amrit?
Means yes, he is explaining. He was explaining. So,
but wasn't your question about you are spending more times on meetings, and how will you justify that your meetings are giving you some results?
Yeah, sometimes brainstorming gives the result, but
the question is answered.
Not yet.
So that's what my question was.
Yeah.
You should have said, right, that I did not got the answer for my question. So Tushar and Sandhya and Samita, the question was that you guys are doing too much brainstorming and not too much experiments. So is there any sort of justification that how will you efficiently do these brainstormings, these meetings, and all this stuff to get results? Do you have any justification for it?
Maybe if I may, maybe as our initial variables, we can set time as our initial fundamental while setting our accountability.
Means time is depending on what?
While setting milestone, like we can set our initial variable as time, as in this much hour we are spending for brainstorming. So we are giving this hour, right? So when we are coming out to variables, it could be various things like how much hour it is taking, or what experience we are getting, or it could be like how much KPIs we are getting, right?
Yeah, okay. So how will you ensure that you are not stuck in analysis paralysis?
In that case, we'll use the idea of not just experimentation but exploitation as well. So let's say that we experimented different methods. Now we'll not like we have experimented, we have documented. Now as we talked about the staggered approach, we'll manually test its step out. So whether those experiments that we conducted or not works or not, we'll test them out, and it will justify our brainstorming sessions or experiments.
Okay, so you will prepare some milestone basis on your time. Okay, at this time, I will call these or call this, and then you'll track your results.
Yeah, that's one of the variables that we'll set, to justify and to track.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Thanks, Team Golrat. In the favor of time, we have to end the round one here. Obviously, okay, there is a time constraint everywhere. We have to manage our own time. So there is one part of project management of this dialogue. Now, if anyone from the answering team or the questioning team would like to reflect on what are the learnings from round one, we can take 1 or 2 reflections and then move to round two.
Can I go?
Sure.
Okay, so majorly, a reflection. So I ask those questions which I want to learn, because in our team we are we are lacking those answers. So I was looking for those questions and I got my answers as well. So it was a great thing, I would say.
Okay. Anyone else going ahead with a reflection? Co-mods can also go ahead with the reflection if they have any.
I have one. Like I had a discussion with a member saying how 4 SA methods can be used only for products, like how Tushar mentioned MVP and wireframes, but it was good how Team Goldratt was able to bring that into project as well.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Marvin. Yeah. Yes, Tushar.
Yes, so I would like to reflect on the question that was asked by Amrit about whether our experiments and stuff are being justified or not. So this is like when in past meetings and discussions as well, we touch this idea of not just experimenting but exploiting as well. And this is something that people really struggle with. Like I myself struggle with. We just experiment, but do we actually exploit those experiments? Do we actually see whether those experiments are working or not? So by answering that question right now, it gave me a refreshment on the question, and allowed me to reflect on it. So yeah, thank you for that. And
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
This was a true learning, I will say. Now, I hope this benefits you next week whenever you work on your team's objectives. So that's why we do this dialogues. Okay, that we build upon these concepts. Okay, that are usually discussed by the CXOs and learn from them, and we apply those concepts in our day-to-day works. So, without wasting any further time, we will start the round two of this discussion. So, in the round two, Team Goldratt will be in the question box and Team Vision will be in the answer box. Okay, Mr. Sanjeev, since you have joined a bit late, I would like to repeat the theme of this discussion. The theme of today's discussion is project management, on how we can use some concepts of project management. Deep Thought have developed one concept of 4SA framework. So specifically today, we are going to discuss about how this concept can be used in our day-to-day processes. So, yeah, thank you, Ms. Sanjeev. Over to you, Team Vision. You can go ahead with your pitch.
So good evening, guys. I'm Ronak, and I'm here to share our team speech with you all. So our team is working on a very interesting project called Project Manager, where an employee and leader working for a company under a specific project can keep track of all the tasks which is being assigned to employees and its respective deadlines also. So we are solving the tedious process of who is working on what and if he or she is adding value to it or not. So here our operations goes. In the first step, we will follow the story of alignment. We'll break our story into micro and macro parts, and it goes like, suppose in micro story, we'll assume that Ashish is an employee and he opens a project manager. He is shy and prevents from communicating with his colleagues about issues. He uses the journal feature in our project manager and shares his reflections. Now he wants to know what are the tasks he needs to complete being in this particular project. So he will be able to keep track of all the tasks and its deadlines. And in macro story, what we can define is all the data of tasks and projects will come to the dashboard, and it's more like a people capital management. Also, it helps where the employees lacks his capability and why he needs to escalate it to leader or some other guy who can solve his problem. So in the second stage, we are defining the scope for agility. Here we want to make and explain what's the minimum thing our project needs. For MVP, we took into consideration the making of project manager, dashboard, and value tracker. The user can update the status of his task and filter the task according to his need. The leader can create and edit the task as well. So these are the things we'll be including in MVP. In the next stage, we are including the specific accountability. Here we clarify our project completely. So we make a basic design of the product where we at first can visualize the structure of the whole product, right? So we will be making wireframes. In the form of wireframes, it will give the idea of expectations the user have with our project in a visual manner. And in the fourth stage, we are including the staggered approach. In this stage, we can take a reflection from a single user or feedback, you can say, and get their reviews while giving them a chance to ask questions. Based on the questioning, we'll be giving them answers and can brainstorm on that. And then we can scale it to multiple users and then take the reviews into consideration, which will help our product to in next phase to include that particular feature or not. So in this way, we can provide least functionalities while fulfilling the vision of our particular product. Thank you.
Thanks, Team Vision, for sharing the pitch with us. And for the audience, giving a bit more context, Ronak and his team currently have